I'm Oonagh. I live in Wexford, and I discovered my brain injury in 2004. Well, they discovered I had a brain tumour then, and I had to go into Wexford Hospital, and I was sent from there up to Beaumont, and they discovered then that I had an aneurysm as well. So I had that coiled, and I had the tumour removed.
And the aneurysm then is something that you would have always have had?
Yeah, and I think potentially that was much more dangerous than the tumour, because it could have blown off at any time. And initially when I was in hospital, I wasn't ever expected to come home. And then it got to a stage where I think that the best scenario was that I would end up in a nursing home. But thank goodness I've surpassed all that. Well, it was quite difficult at the beginning, because it was a little bit like starting all over again. And I suppose whereas before that I used to run the house, now I wasn't really running it anymore. For a start, I needed help in the house, physically, because I just wasn't able to do, the heavy things like hoovering and stuff. But also, even as I said, the things like doing the shopping and planning, all that sort of thing, I just found difficult to get around.
How did you get through that? What was that like?
It was difficult, because I felt in a way that I was a bit useless. I mean, I knew it wasn't my fault that I couldn't do it, but at the same time it didn't help, because it did make me feel a little bit, what's the word I'm groping for now? Just really no use and no good. Would I ever be able to do anything again, sort of on my own, without having somebody constantly prompting me or pushing me? Well, things were difficult enough, because the part of my brain that was affected was where my memory, and so I have to use a diary now a lot, well, all the time, to write down both my food and what I've done. And without that, I would have difficulty remembering even back 2 days now. Well, I think I certainly have trouble now planning things. I'd say I probably was never brilliant at planning, but things used to get done. But now I just have difficulty planning sort of ahead. So that's one of my major difficulties. Conall does this plan out on the computer for me every week, which I stick. Well, I have one copy of it in my diary, and I have another one stuck up so that I can see. Basically, what's on it is things that are on during the week, plus what the different things the children are doing, different things maybe we would have on. It's just so that if we're looking at a different day, we could say, well, we can't do such a thing that day because there's something else on. But it's handy to have it out in block form, where you can just see the whole thing at a glance.
How often do you have to look at that?
Well, I look at it every day. I cross it off every day, and then I look at the next day. But if we're, as I say, if we're trying to plan something, I would have to look ahead. But apart from that, I just look at it on a daily basis.
And how has your level of energy, has that been affected by?
Yeah, it had been. That's why I've actually, I used to get I still have to go for a rest every day. I usually go sort of after lunch, maybe, for about an hour and a half. And it is essential that I take my rest every day, because I know sometimes I think, oh, I won't bother because sure, I'm okay, but if I don't lie down, I would know the difference later on. It's obviously something that I will always have to do. I actually try not to look too far into the future. I really try and take each day as it comes.
What gives you pleasure? What gives you most joy on a day-to-day basis? What do you like to do?
Well, I think even actually just even being, as silly as it sounds, just being able to be at home and be with the children and have my whole family around me, just because at one stage that just became, it was looking as if it wasn't ever going to happen again. And I mean, a few years ago I would have had other things to think about, but now it's the simple things that keep me happy. You know, I'm happy just to maybe go into town or something and, you know, just be able to do normal things. You know, I suppose to some people they might think, gosh, does she really think going shopping is a pleasure? But it is when you think that at one time I may not have been able to do it again.
Gives you a different perspective, doesn't
Absolutely, absolutely.
For people watching this video and thinking about your own experience, Oonagh, what do you think is the most important thing for people to know about what it's like to have a brain injury?
Well, I think it's certainly important never to give up hope. I know things can get frustrating at times here, but I suppose it's better that I'm here than stuck in a nursing home.
So for someone who wasn't going to live
Mm-hmm.
and whose future was a nursing home,
Mm-hmm.
how do you feel you're doing?
Good, very good. Yeah, I'm proud of how I've done. I know it's been a lot of hard work, but it's great to think that when you're told something that you can actually get past that. And you should never, I suppose you should never take anything lying down either. Because I could have taken that and accepted it as, well, that's it now, that's written in stone and there's nothing I can do about it. But what it actually did was, I'd say, made me more determined to push myself. But I would like to thank my family in particular for all the help and assistance that they give me, and for being there, and for, I suppose you could say, putting up with me. You know, because it's not easy from the way things were before, and I suppose then me being in hospital and then me coming home a totally different person and having to get used to that and to live with somebody who's, I suppose, completely different. You know, a different person than they knew before. So, thanks for your tolerance, guys.